So please, we are going to be walking through the audience. Anything that you can give that could help these women moving forward. I know that it is a tough time to be asking for money. It is also a very tough time for women right now, and knowing that we lost a provider. So if we can give to this fund and help support women, I think this is a wonderful time for us to $1, $5, whatever. Just, it's a moment where we can sort of put this all together and really help women and know that we have done something in the honor of this man. And really, this is very much putting his life's work into practice. Another advocate who has been a wonderful friend for a long time with with NOW-NYC, the National Organization for Women, Sonia Ossorio. And I surprised her. She wasn't ready, but thank you.
Thank you so much. It's so great to see all of you here today. You've heard so much about Dr. Tiller. He really, really was a hero. Can you imagine day after day, the stress of his life, the daily harassment, the death threats, the lawsuits that the entire state seemed to come down on him? And it's such a tragedy what has happened. We are all so very saddened, and this loss is tremendous, absolutely tremendous to our movement and for women. But I want us to take this moment to think about what's happening here in New York City. You know, when Andrea Stewart Cousins introduced the Reproductive Health Act in Westchester, her office was besieged with anti-choice demonstrators. And she was there alone and surprised. Right now, many of the providers here in New York City, they're not here because they're at their offices creating emergency plans so that they can be safer and their staffs can be safer tomorrow and moving forward. I want to thank again Speaker Quinn earlier this year for making sure that we passed extra protections for clinic access. That was very, very important. And for those of you, and I know many of you here were there, it was very, very chilling words that Merle Hoffman said, who runs Choices. And what she said is, it's about to begin again. The terrorism, the domestic terrorism of the anti-choice terrorist. And she was right, all too right. Because that's what happens when we have pro-choice presidents. So we are going to have to be more vigilant. I also want to thank Mayor Bloomberg, because one of the first things he did early in his administration was to ensure that our medical schools, it was mandatory that new doctors knew how to perform this procedure. We know there's already 87% of counties in our country do not have abortion providers. So I want to thank you for being here. I know that my commitment to fighting for reproductive rights is reaffirmed here today, and I believe for each and every one of you, you feel the same way. And I hope that you can join all of us. There are so many avenues for you to help us, as you have seen here today, to get out and support and to help our clinics here locally. So thank you so very much.
Sonia mentioned that there are so many organizations here today that you can commit your volunteer hours to if you would like to, if that is how you would like to serve the memory of Dr. Tiller. I'd just like to run through the list again of the organizations who helped put this vigil together tonight. NARAL Pro-Choice New York, Planned Parenthood of New York City, Physicians for Reproductive Choice and Health, the Religious Coalition for Reproductive Choice, the New York Civil Liberties Union, NOW-NYC, the New York Abortion Access Fund. I see Sylvia from the National Latina Institute for Reproductive Health, who is here. If I missed another organization, I'm sorry. Let me know, I'll give you a shout out from the mic. I have a few final speakers for us tonight. I would like to welcome to the mic a former Congress member who has been part of this fight for a long time, who would like to speak to you, and that is former Congresswoman Liz Holtzman.
Never thought in 1972 when Carol Bellamy and I filed an amicus brief in the Court of Appeals to make abortion legal in New York State, that we would still be fighting more than 30 years later, almost 40 years later, to ensure a basic right, and that we've been standing here to honor a man who gave his right so that women could live. We're here today, each one of us, because we know that that bullet wasn't just meant for Dr. Tiller. It was meant for every other doctor who does abortions. It's meant for every other nurse, every other health practitioner, and every woman who seeks an abortion. That bullet was meant for you and for you and for you and for me. But we are not going to stand for it anymore. This is like the shot that was heard round the world. It is not enough for us to rally. It is not enough for us to stand in vigil. We have to demand of our government to begin to act in a serious way to protect women's rights. It's not enough for our medical schools not to train doctors. It's not enough for the FBI not to be doing more. It's not enough for women have to travel long distances. We cannot accept the status quo anymore. That is the message. It's not just that we're going to honor him by keeping his work going. We are going to expand his work so that no woman in this country, whether that woman is 11 or 67, will have to go through what happens today. So thank you for being here, and let's stand up in his honor.
She has inspired me. We don't need a resolution. We need a law. We need a law that says that we need federal support for doctors that are providing legal services to help women. We need support for the nurses. We need support for the police and the protection. It is a shot at all of us. She has inspired me to go back, not with a resolution, but with a law that turns it around. We've been in retreat. We've been in retreat. We need to turn it around with our government acting to support doctors like Dr. Tiller.
Go after Fox News. Go after Fox. They did this. Fox is right there. Everyone. Fox News right there. You bum. You're part of it. You're part of it. It's the same.
Having women in power really helps us get things done. And I thank you both for that and for also invigorating us. I also just want to say someone just handed me $100 for the fund. I kind of can't believe I'm holding it, but I am. One of the things that's amazing about doing events in Union Square and doing events in New York City is that great minds think alike, and a lot of organizations also have a good idea. And so when we showed up here tonight, there was already an event in progress. And I would like to invite one of those speakers, because they joined our rally with ours, because this is about taking every person who cared about what happened to Dr. Tiller and joining arms and joining forces and saying, together we are stronger, together we stop these things from happening, together we create a revolution, together we create a movement, and together we make sure that the other side does not win, because we are stronger, because we are right. And I would like to bring to the stage Sarah Taylor with Revolution Newspaper.